While serving in the United States Army Special Forces, John is shot in Afghanistan. 2 years earlier in spring, John is on leave in Charleston, South Carolina. He meets Savannah, a college student building homes with a group of students for Habitat for Humanity while on spring break. Savannah invites John to a bonfire party where he meets her neighbor, Tim, and his autistic son, Alan. Over the next 2 weeks, they go on several dates. Savannah mentions to John that his father may have Asperger's syndrome like Tim's son, Alan. An upset John storms off and becomes involved in a fight, and he accidentally strikes Tim, breaking his nose. Savannah sees the commotion and stops speaking to John. John later apologizes to Tim, who offers to give Savannah a message. She later visits John to spend one last day together. Before John leaves, they make a promise to continue their relationship via letters, and vow to tell each other everything. John and Savannah make plans to start a life together after John gets discharged from the army. However, when the September 11th attacks occur, John along with his team requests to extend their deployments. As a result, their time apart from each other ultimately turns into years. Back in Charleston, Savannah begins to spend more time with Tim, and decides that she wants to work with autistic children. She plans to build a farm and horse stables where they can enjoy the outdoors and animals. Over the next 2 years, John and Savannah's romance continues through their letters. Eventually one turns out to be a literal "Dear John" letter, in which Savannah breaks up with John. She explains that while she still loves him, she has developed feelings for someone else and is engaged. After being shot in Afghanistan, John is encouraged to return home, but he re-enlists for a second time. For more years pass, and John is informed that his father has had a stroke, and is sent home to be with him. In the hospital, John reads a letter that he wrote to him, in which he tells him that the first thing to cross his mind after he was shot was coins, and the last thing before he lost consciousness was his dad. Soon afterward, his father dies. After the funeral, John visits Savannah and learns that the man she married was Tim, abandoning her dream of a riding camp for autistic kids because of Tim's fight against lymphoma. Savannah takes John to the hospital to see him. Tim tells John that Savannah still loves John. Back at the house, John and Savannah enjoy a quiet evening together, and are tempted to pick up where they left off years earlier, but do not go through with their feelings. John says goodbye to Savannah and leaves, distraught. John sells his father's coin collection, except the valuable mule coin that he found with his father years ago, to raise money to help with Tim's cancer treatment. Then he returns to the military, carrying the mule coin with him as a good luck charm. He receives a final letter from Savannah telling him that they received an anonymous donation, but Tim died from his illness after only 2 months of treatment. Months later, John, now a civilian, eventually returns home. While in town one day while parking his bike, he sees Savannah at a coffee shop. They reunite